Hello, music fans. I'm continuing my series of my top 10 albums from every year in the 1970s, and today we're talking about 1972. Let's jump right in with my number 10, which is an Italian progressive rock album. It's the debut album by Banco del Mucho Sorcoso, and it's their self titled album. If you're a fan of Emerson, Lake and Palmer, this band sounds like them, plus a little bit of King Crimson mixed with classical music, Italian music, and opera. It's just very well done, very interesting. My number 9 from 1972 is Thick as a Brick by Jethro Tull. This is their fifth album. It's essentially one almost 44-minute song broken into two parts, one on each side of the vinyl, and it's probably their proggiest album. My number 8 is Volume 4 by Black Sabbath. This is their fourth album. It features some nice variety with some of their typical heavy metal sound, but also has the ballad changes. It has two instrumental acoustic guitar pieces. It also includes the great song Snowblind. I really like this album. Check it out if you're into heavy metal. Number 7, Trilogy by Emerson, Lake and Palmer. This is their third album. There's some really awesome keyboard playing from Keith Emerson on here. Really enjoyable album. Check it out. And number 6 is Foxtrot by Genesis, another prog rock album on my list. Most of the albums on these lists are going to be prog rock in the 70s because that's the best stuff in the 70s, in my opinion. And this is the fourth album by Genesis. It ends with the 23-minute epic, Supper's Ready. Number 5 is Machine Head by Deep Purple. This is their sixth album. It's more of a hard rock album. It contains some of my favorite Deep Purple tracks like Highway Star, Smoke on the Water, and Space Truckin'. It's a really fun, bluesy, hard rockin' album. At the time, I think it would have been considered heavy metal, but nowadays it likely wouldn't qualify. It's more, metal's gotten a lot heavier than this. I love the keyboards and Hammond organ of John Lord. The guitar playing from Richie Blackmore is also really great on this album. Number 4 is Three Friends by Gentle Giant. This is their third album. It's their most conceptual album where the music follows the concept really well. It's about three childhood friends whose lives take them in very different directions to different places, but each friend is unsatisfied with their new life. One friend is a laborer, one's a painter, and one is a businessman. So there might be another album from Gentle Giant on this list today. So I don't like Three Friends quite as much as the other album that Gentle Giant released in 1972. But really during the 1970s, or the early 70s at least, Gentle Giant could do no wrong. Everything they put out was great. Number 3 is another one from a band that's already been mentioned before. It's the album Darwin from the band Banco del Mucho Sorcoso, another probably my favorite Italian progressive rock album that I've heard so far. It's their second album. Again, has that sound of Emerson, Lake and Palmer mixed with King Crimson, mixed with classical music, Italian music, and opera. This is probably my favorite album by them and my favorite Italian prog rock album. Number 2, I mentioned this band earlier, Gentle Giant, and their album Octopus. This is their fourth album. It's so good I contemplated putting this at number 1 for 1972 above my top pick. Some days I like it even more than my top pick, but I gave my top pick the slight edge. Get it? Edge. You might get it when you hear what my number 1 pick is, due to its influence. Octopus is even more progressive and boundary pushing with a lot of medieval, Baroque, and classical music influences, lots of a cappella parts with syncopated counterpoint vocals, lots of different instruments included on the album. Every member of the band, Gentle Giant, is a multi-instrumentalist. They even switch instruments live. Not only does it include typical rock instruments like guitars, keyboards, bass, and drums, Gentle Giant has cello, alto saxophone, trumpet, tenor saxophone, baritone saxophone, violin, viola, bongos, xylophone, and more, Lots of cool keyboard parts by Kerry Minier. My favorite track on here is Knots. It's so iconic for those a cappella vocal parts, and the parts with the instruments behind them are also amazing. There's an instrumental track, The Boys in the Band, which is probably the best Gentle Giant instrumental. Every song on this album, Octopus, is great. There's not a weak moment. Then my number one album of 1972, it had to be Close to the Edge by Yes, their fifth album, possibly the gold standard and definitive prog rock album. Side one of the vinyl has a almost 19-minute epic, the title track, possibly the gold standard and definitive progressive rock epic. And side two is equally great and features And You and I and Siberian Khatru. The whole album has this mystical, fantastic, and spiritual feeling to it, with the high-pitched vocals from John Anderson, the spacey and hypnotic ambient instrumental parts, as well as some parts that really rock hard with sick bass lines, fast guitar runs. Some parts even have a little bit of country influences in the guitar. They really combine all these influences well and make something truly unique and truly special. So Close to the Edge by Yes is my pick for my favorite album from 1972. What are your favorites from 1972? Let me know down in the comments. What do you think of my list? And hit that subscribe button if you want to stay in the loop on when I release new videos. The next one in this series will be my favorite albums of 1973. Stay tuned until then. Peace out.